today Guardian Roundtable. But today we are discussing the rise of Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party and the impact it's going to have on politics in general. Well, it seems as if the opposition is more worried about Arvind Kejriwal's rise than the BJP, because they are seeing that the opposition space, especially the Congress, which should have been occupied by them, is now being usurped by someone who is more willing to work hard, who seems to be on a winning spree. In fact, if you look at it, my thesis, which I'm going to put before the panelists today, is that Arvind Kejriwal is actually taking his cue from Modi's book. He is Modi light. One is a chaiwala, one is an Aam Aadmi. Both are 24/7 politicians. Both believe in politics of welfareism, whether it's free electricity or subsidies or free rations. Then again, both of them follow the politics of Hindutva. If one is a Hindu Hriday Samrat, the other one recites the Hanuman Chalisa at a drop of a hat and preferably in front of television cameras. So the only difference is one likes to dress up and one likes to dress down. Apart from that, is Arvind Kejriwal actually giving Modi a taste of his own book? And how far can he go? Can he succeed? Joining me on the show today is Sohail Seth, political commentator, marketing maven, and columnist. Sabha Naqvi, she's written a book on the Aam Aadmi Party and knows them pretty closely. She's been following their politics and a commentator and columnist. Ashutosh, formerly with the Aam Aadmi Party and now the founding editor of his own YouTube show, satyahindi.com. But Sohail, you are the marketing maven and the man. So before we rib Ashutosh, do you believe in my presumption that Arvind Kejriwal is actually a Modi light?
I don't know if he's a Modi light or Modi version 2.0, but the playbook is very similar. And why shouldn't it be? People want to be in a comfort zone where they think the strategy has worked before. In Modi's case, that particular strategy has worked. One element that you perhaps missed out in your analysis of Arvind Kejriwal was he's a manipulative user of the media. In the sense, he also knows how to manipulate the media and manipulate the bite and the storyline, the narrative, all of that. Number two, please recognize one thing. Winning Punjab was not easy, but he's done it. To say that I will now come to Gujarat, I will now go to Himachal, what he's doing is he's setting the cat among the pigeons. Whether you win or not, the fact is he's establishing himself in pole position to be the contender for a national throne, if a national throne ever gets vacated, A. B, as the person who the opposition should be rallying around because of the way he does business. Having said that, his mentality is one of anarchism. He's essentially an anarchist. You see, there are great brands that are disruptors, but then they are not self-destructive. In his case, he can both be a disruptor and self-destructive. Second, all the things that you blame Modi for, he does it with adroitness, but under the garb of, oh, I'm the victim, I'm simple, I'm no one, I only work for the people. But there is an assiduous strategy. In that, he's very similar to Modi. The calling card of Arvind Kejriwal is actually a dove in a hawk's clothing and not the other way around.
Very well put. Sabha, would you agree with what we've been saying so far? And also, today's show actually came up through a show that I and I were there with Ashutosh on satyahindi.com. He grilled us, so now it's our turn.
Absolutely. I look forward to grilling Ashutosh, but I'll just say a few things, Priya. Yeah. I get where you're saying this, but Arvind, there's an essential difference between Modi and Arvind Kejriwal. Modi comes from the largest Sangathan in the country, they say in the world. He took over a party which already existed. Let's accept Arvind Kejriwal created his party just 10 years ago. So fundamentally, the ground from which they both come, and that is his limitation actually right now. So we can look at he's a 24/7, he knows how to use media. He does all that. Plus, he is technically a very educated person, so he knows technical details about Bijli, water, Andolan, all of that. He's on top of those issues, even in his governance style. So this is a very, very big difference. He creates a party, he gets the large party, Modi. Now, but I see a problem in his so-called conquest of India. What Arvind Kejriwal can do right now is start articulating opposition positions. His ideological positioning will be, he subtly changes it as and when the situation demands. But there's also another lesson to be learned from Punjab, is that you cannot just come there where in Punjab, he did have a local chief ministerial face in the end, who has a following of his own, who is a man of the soil. So without that, and you look at the way you fail in Uttarakhand and Goa, unless you capture the essence of local realities, when you don't have a structure, then you will not succeed beyond a point. Now let's look at what we are facing up front. Karnataka, for instance, will be within a year. I'll talk about that because I know a little bit about that. The Congress still has Sangathan over there. It still has structures over there, which is why, and the BJP has never electorally, actually, it's not really won. It was through defections there in power. How does Arvind, what does he do in a situation like that? So he is challenged. The other thing, what succeeds in Indian politics, not nationally, is a regional identity plank. Mamata Banerjee is essentially a leader of Bengal. In Tamil Nadu also, the DMK is opening an office on the 2nd of April here in Delhi. But the point is they win because they belong to that region. So unless, either the Congress just collapses and whatever structures they have joins up in the future, but it's not as easy as it looks, because they pulled off a miraculous win in Delhi. Miraculous, not once, not twice, and I really admire him for that. And I think he is a dynamo. I think Arvind is a dynamo. They have pulled off something in Punjab, but there are certain conditions also there. Punjab has its unique history. The soil was fertile with this idea of protest. There is Bhagwant Mann. Let's not take away that from him. It is still a challenge. But what Arvind Kejriwal can begin to do is to start articulating opposition positions, because he is bigger, his image is bigger than his party. He has a bigger image all around India than Mamata Banerjee does. Sometimes when I go to other places, this is Delhi se aayo, wahan Arvind Kejriwal hai. Nobody says that if you go, people know who he is. That will happen. Delhi, wo Arvind Kejriwal. So he has many things going for him. But to overnight, just do... so this is what I think are the limitations. I think something big has happened and he's got to... they've got to create it. But if there is, of course, a vacuum gets created, if Congress really begins to collapse, even in states where we think like Karnataka, I think in Goa, in Gujarat, actually...
We'll go into Congress a bit later. Let me get Ashutosh in on the limitations of Arvind Kejriwal also. He's won Punjab, but he had some sort of a backing over there. Can he do this cut and paste job in other states also? Ashutosh.
See, Priya, first of all, let me say it very clearly that where Arvind Kejriwal is today in 2022, I think he's 8 years late. At the minimum, 5 years late. Why I'm saying 8 years late? Because in 2014, 2013, when he not won Delhi, but he got 28 seats. I think that was the time when the whole country was, in fact, waiting for him. And then he committed a mistake. He sat on dharna at the railway and then he called, "I'm an anarchist," something like that. And that had gone terribly wrong against him. And then you have seen 7 seats he contested election. Despite so much attraction for him, he couldn't win a single seat. And then in 2017 again, the Punjab was ready. People forget it. And all the opinion polls were saying that Aam Aadmi Party might get more than 100 seats, 80 seats, 90 seats. But he was reduced to only 20 seats and 22% vote share. This time in 2022, what is good about him, that he's a great learner. He learned from his mistakes. In 2017, when he lost Punjab, he realized that attacking Narendra Modi at a personal level is not working. And he, since then, has stopped criticizing Narendra Modi personally. And secondly, he also realized during the Punjab election that he being somebody who is a foreigner to Punjab, and he doesn't understand the nuances of Punjab, the sensibilities of Punjab. And so this time, his operation was covert, not overt. And he was not as passionate as it was in 2017. It worked for him. So he's a great learner in that sense. But where he's committing mistake? The Arvind Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party's attraction and all kinds of affection with the people and connect with the people was I'm very fond of saying this. It's like Raj Kapoor of the Teesri Kasam. He was so innocent that everybody loved him. It's like Amitabh Bachchan of Janjeer. He was very angry. He was very angry with the system, but people loved him. But when he moved from Janjeer to Sarkar, when he is willing to do all kinds of willy-dilly and all kinds of wrong things, that's where his limitation is. That's where he has limited himself. If Arvind Kejriwal remained Raj Kapoor of Teesri Kasam or angry young man of Janjeer, probably Modi and others should be very, very wary of him. But since he has partly been co-opted by the system, he has been appropriated by the traditional politics. But what is working for him at the moment is that he is still not seen as corrupt as others are. He is still not seen as power hungry as Modi and others are. And he is still can sell the currency that his simplicity, his innocence is still there. So though he has been co-opted by the establishment, so in my opinion, Arvind Kejriwal is still, if he from here onwards, if he could sustain his simplicity, sustain his innocence, then he can be a great threat to at least to the Congress party, if not to the Modi.
Then how does Arvind Kejriwal appear to you? You're a great man for reading images. Has he lost his initial charm? Has he now become more hardened and politics as usual? Or he still has something different in him?
See, as I said...
there
are 2 or 3 ways of looking at politicians. Ashutosh's point of the optics. Arvind Kejriwal is not stupid. So let's recognize that. He's no spring chicken. He's very wily. He is very smart. Only intelligent people learn from their mistakes. Duffers never do. So you've got to accept the fact that he's not stupid. The beauty about him is he combines brilliance with manipulation in a healthy concoction for Indian politics. That is what is worrying. And that should worry everyone. Rahul Gandhi is intellectually innocent, and he has no idea of what to do and when to do it. So park Rahul Gandhi. The point here is only twofold. What does Arvind Kejriwal want to do? Does he want to usurp a national alternative position to Narendra Modi? Or does he also want to usurp a national political party alternative to the BJP? These are 2 questions that he will address and he needs to address. Because the answers to his future success lie in them. They don't lie in, what he does, what he doesn't do. Ashutosh made a very important point. People love in this country, people love a victim. If you're a victim, people will love you. If you're being punished, people will love you. Earlier, what happened was Kejriwal was a whiner. He would always whine about things. Ye nahi ho raha, wo nahi ho raha, Modi ji aap kuch kariye, Modi ji aap ye kariye, ye wo. He's realized that people look at leaders for leadership. They don't look at leaders as people who have a problem for every solution. So I think even that hump he has crossed. He needs to strengthen the party with local common men and women. Please understand, I was in Amritsar 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th of March. 10th were the results. Everyone in Amritsar said, vote the NU pawange, means Aam Aadmi. Kyunki ye hamare tarah hi hain. The hamare tarah hai syndrome needs to be carried forward. Number 2, he needs to strengthen and he needs to create a bench strength at a national level. Number 3, he needs to have more investment in strategy rather than just opening his mouth.
Sabha, before the break, we were discussing his USP, but who should be more scared of him? Should the Congress be is he a bigger threat to the Congress or the BJP?
He has always destroyed the Congress. I mean, traditionally, look, the whole, even Modi's ascent in Delhi is linked to the environment that was created, the discrediting that happened with the Anna movement of the UPA too. Anyway, so, but there was no Aam Aadmi Party at that time, and there was BJP, and, and Narendra Modi shifted to Delhi, and all of that happened. So he's always destroyed the Congress. Always. In Delhi, first he defeated Sheila Dikshit, then he certainly defeated the BJP in a very big victory. That was the time when the Prime Minister wore that suit and landed up at a US presidential thing, with his name all over. All of that happened in that time. Then in the second victory in Delhi, that was in his own way, he won an ideological victory because you had all these guys running around saying Goli Maro Saloko. All of that was happening. It was an attempt by the BJP to communalize it. And so he has won big victories in Delhi. He's won it in Punjab. But these are not, and there also he's destroyed the Congress in Punjab again. So yes, because the index of opposition unity, index of opposition division, all of that matters when you have the BJP as a central party. How do you in the first past the post keep winning with 30% or so on and so forth if the others are divided? So as he chips away, it will obviously harm the Congress, but where can he do it? Let's be clear about that. We're just saying, so if the Congress is collapsing, let's say Himachal Pradesh or Gujarat, which is where we've heard of. Now let's take it. Himachal Pradesh just recently, because of the farmers' stir, if you may recall, the Congress won 4 by-elections, including a Lok Sabha one, because there was a lot of local issues pending there about Adani Fresh, and it was linked to agricultural issues in Himachal. So can he do that to the Congress in Himachal? In Gujarat, I think the Congress is in a pretty bad shape. But are they all going to, they are demoralized? There are all sorts of stories which cannot be repeated about what is already happening there. Ahmed Patel is gone or whatever, because in the last Gujarat election, there was a close fight till the very end. And then in the end, the BJP could get its logistical structures in the Surat belt to work and turn Prime Minister himself.
So there is an opposition space, but who is best? Can Kejriwal come in and take it? Sabha, that's the question.
Yeah, so we have to see that what happens in Gujarat. It's not as simple as it looks. What I keep repeating is that he can be part of the national imagination as becoming a voice for the opposition. He did that.
Absolutely.
Before you don't have a party. What he did that with his little thing in the assembly. In fact, he took on the whole Kashmir files narrative. He also Ashutosh, in that speech, he also took on Narendra Modi. He spoke of 56-inch chest. He also mentioned Hitler. So he's done it all in one speech after being ideologically very silent. So I think Arvind is seeing a little shift. You cannot keep talking about Pani, Bijli and appeal to people's imaginations. How do you get regional parties to also see you seriously unless you talk about issues which are larger? And they don't necessarily involve Muslims. Don't please make that mistake. It's about federalism. It's about people. It's about democratic rights. It's about he has come out with the strongest statement on this Thaming Kashmir files. So he has to continue to appeal to the national imagination. That's what I think.
He also withdrew on Kashmir files. In Navika's program, he kind of watered down. One quick thing before Ashutosh comes in, Priya, is sometimes you don't have to position yourself. You have to reposition others qua you. Today, Mamata Banerjee is seen more borderline on insanity and, shrieking and the shrillness. You see, other people, they are not seen in that level. Arvind can bring 2 things to the party. Number 1 is a lot of gravitas, and number 2, his genuine concern for the people, irrespective of caste, creed, or religion. He has that window to look at. That's an important window to analyze when you're looking at national pole position.
Good points. Ashutosh, also the Arvind Kejriwal stand on the Kashmir file. That's also important. He may have, watered it down, but the fact that he raised the issue shows he is.
Can I just find out what did he say? I didn't see Navika's program. What did he water down, Suhail? Just curious.
No, in the sense, he said that, no, I didn't mean it this way, blah, blah, blah. What I meant was the usual political,
okay. But he's not really withdrawn. I mean, he's still not going to give it, whatever. But the speech that's gone all over, what has been heard by everyone is the other speech. Hitler's also mentioned, Chappan in Chhati is also mentioned, and it's done with humor. It's that. So he has begun to articulate things which others are also listening to. Yeah. Other political opposition regional leaders are listening to what he's saying. That's important.
And it's the mass rhetoric that the public likes. Ashutosh, lots for you to react to.
See, Priya, if Arvind Kejriwal could contain his impatience, he will be a great threat to Congress party. I don't see him being a threat to Modi as of now, but he certainly is a great threat to the Congress party and to the Rahul Gandhi. That's point number one. Because what his undoing has been his impatience. He wants things to happen immediately, and that's why he annoys his partymen. That's why he annoys with the bureaucrats. That's why he annoys with other politicians. So impatience is his fatal flaw. That's point number one. The point number two, if you look at Arvind Kejriwal today, Arvind Kejriwal is what? Arvind Kejriwal is BJP minus hate. I think the way he has put it, Kattar Desh Prem, Kattar Imandari, and Insaniyat. So BJP claims that it is a Kattar Desh Prem, Kattar Imandari, and then where the BJP falters, it's Insaniyat. So Arvind Kejriwal has very smartly placed himself that he's a nationalist, so nobody can question his patriotism. Secondly, he is uncorruptible. That has been all through has been his key attraction. And now he's placing himself what Atal Bihari Vajpayee said in Kashmir, Insaniyat. So he is humanist. Like if you combine all three, then you will see Arvind Kejriwal is somewhere placing himself for future. Now the problem with the Congress party is for the last 8 years, Congress party has failed to understand that nationalism and the patriotism has been a great currency. The Congress has to be seen that it is uncorruptible. Unfortunately, Congress cannot do that. Congress Congress contribution to secularism and humanism is not questionable. But where it is questionable is whether when they come into the governance, they are prone for deeper corruption. And this is the point where Arvind Kejriwal scores over Congress party. So what I look at in future is that potentially Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal can replace Congress party nationally. I'm saying potentially. I'm not saying will, if he is going to do that. And then 10 years down the line, if they could replace Congress party as a national party, then they will be great threat to the BJP. And
but 10 years down the line, not.
I'm very clear on these points. Look at where the Aam Aadmi Party. Aam Aadmi Party contested the election in Rajasthan, in Haryana, in Uttar Pradesh, in Madhya Pradesh, in Gujarat. And what has been their vote share in Goa and Uttarakhand? Their vote share in these 5 states has not crossed even 1%. In UP, this time they got only 5%. In Rajasthan, they got only 0.3%. In Goa, last time, they got 6.3% vote share. This time, despite winning 2 assembly seats, they could improve only by 0.45%. 0.45%. In Uttarakhand, even the BSP is ahead of the Aam Aadmi Party. They got only 3%. The BSP got more than 4% vote share. So let's not be very hyperbolic about Aam Aadmi. I think it makes a juicy, nice story that here is an upstart politician who's going to replace Narendra Modi. It's not going to happen. They took 8 years to reach in Punjab where they are now. In 2017, when they lost out, immediately after that, in municipal elections, they're totally decimated. In Gurdaspur Assembly parliamentary elections, they were decimated. In parliamentary election, they were decimated. So they could gain their hair because people were upset with the Congress party. So it's not that the Congress has lost its relevance. Only thing is, if Congress keep coming these blunders, obviously somebody is going to replace them. They did the same blunder in Punjab and so they were replaced.
Okay, just to end with, Suhail, a very funny situation we have in the opposition. We have a leader who doesn't have a pan-India party. On the other hand, there is a party which has a pan-India presence but lacks a leader. Do you think, as you were joking and Ashutosh, so should Sonia Gandhi adopt Arvind Kejriwal and end all opposition problems?
I don't know, because obviously she's not very good with managing children. Both have shown you that she may be a great mother, but she's not a great intellectual inspiration. Sabha said about the dangers. I think the Congress party is only scared of one person, Rahul. His presence scares the hell out of them, if you ask any member of the Congress party. But they can't do anything about him. In the Congress's case, and with Rahul Gandhi, I have an old phrase of mine. Every time they do something, it's operation successful, patient dead.
Okay. On that note, Ashutosh, final question for you. Any regrets that you left the Aam Aadmi Party?
No way. No
You'd have
way.
been Chief Minister of Uttarakhand.
I think do we get to grill Ashutosh now?
People normally, I
One
think people
quick
normally.
question, Sabha. We're out of time, but you have
No, it's fine. I've already asked him that question
That's a
privately.
small submission since I'm answering your question. See, the people forget that I did not join politics to become a member of parliament. Otherwise, I would have done that with least of efficiency. Because once I was leaving Aam Party, I had an offer in both the hands. I did not do that. So I joined politics because I wanted to do something. I left politics because I was not interested in politics in that sense. So that question doesn't come to me. It doesn't upset me at all. Yes.
So
sir.
I'll ask a quick, Ashutosh, I think I'm very happy you're not in politics because I think Satya Hindi is a great platform. Let me just say that. And I think you're a superb journalist. But I want to ask you what I asked you privately after that conversation is that there is so much talk from the Congress, and I hear it from senior leaders, that Arvind Kejriwal is actually an RSS agent. Would you just tell us
No.
that?
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true at all. Yes, but I can tell you one thing, that Anna movement was supported greatly by RSS, and the meeting did happen in RSS headquarters, and where they decided to support Aam Aadmi Party, supported Anna movement, not because they were controlling things, but they wanted to exploit that movement to discredit Congress Party and come to the power, and they succeeded in that.
Okay. On that very sensational note, but as you know, I think I agree with Sabha that it's much more fun on the other side, Ashutosh. You have a good show going, and it's much more fun being a journalist than a politician. I'm sure all of us on the show will agree.
Yes,
on that
absolutely.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.